What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And if you recognize this van, it's because it is our service van. Little sneak peek at the decals here. They're not quite finished yet, but we're getting there. Anyway, this video today is about doing a battery on a 2015 Ford Transit 250. And this battery is located in a very interesting place, and we're going to get right to it here. The tools that you'll need for this is an 8mm socket, a 1/4-inch ratchet, of course my trusty impact gun, and a 10mm to get the battery terminals off. Now if we open the van here and look underneath this seat here, you'll see a plus sign. That's because your battery is located under the front driver's seat. That wouldn't be such a big deal if this was a normal transit van, but my van happens to have a divider back here. There's a divider in this van, and that makes accessing this battery down here pretty hard. In a normal situation, what you could do is you could just move the seat forward and go in the back and come right down here and get to this battery. But unfortunately, we have to try to fish this battery out between the seat and this divider. So without further ado, we're going to get right into this. The first step here is to fold the seat forward and reach under here and release this lever, slide it forward. Now, what you'll notice back here is that there is this area. You fold this flat back and you'll see that there's two 8mm bolts here. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove these two 8mm bolts and remove this metal bracket out of here. Now, once you remove these bolts, you're going to find that this pigtail here, this wire, is kind of looped inside of here. Just take it out before you pull up on this metal bracket. Now, I'm not 100% sure on all transit vans. Mine is kind of just sitting in here, but you can remove the negative cable cover there. And then if you reach in here, there's another plastic piece that just kind of pops up and slides out. And now you start to get a glimpse of where this battery lives. It is a big battery. It's never fun to try to fish these things out of here, but it can be done. Obviously, it has to be done. So the next step here is we're going to remove the negative battery terminal with a 10mm, and then we're going to move the seat back this direction, and then we can access the positive terminal right underneath the seat here. And you just lift the negative battery cable up and away from the battery. And now you can see that positive terminal that I was talking about. Now on your transit van, your positive terminal will not have this blue cable here on top that goes around. That is actually for my sound system. I have an aftermarket subwoofer in this van since I spent a lot of time in it and I really like my music. So we're going to undo this 10mm here. Be careful not to touch the surrounding metal when you're loosening this, because if you take your ratchet while it's on that nut and bump into some metal, it's going to spark and it's going to scare you. Okay, so be very careful to stay clear of any metal, including this lock release for the seat. So we're going to go in here very carefully and loosen this 10mm here. Once it's loosened, you can give it a little spin, lift it up, and move it off to the side. The next step now is to move the seat back forward again. And we're going to come back here and take a look at what's going on. There is this vent cable here. What you'll do to take that out is just spin it and pull outward. And don't do what I just did there. I'm going to have to find that at a later time, but normally that doesn't fall out of the end of the hose here. But that's your battery vent cable, or that's your battery vent tube, so fumes don't come into the cab when the battery's in service. And now what we want to do is try to get this divider out of here. So the way you do that is just reach down in here and lift up on it and pull it out, set it to the side. And now I should be able to move my battery around. Yep. So when we take this battery out, we're going to be careful not to catch any of these cables. And we're just going to lift the battery up and angle it so it can come out of here at an angle. It's a little difficult because of this divider here, but and it's a heavy battery as well, but we'll be able to get it out of here, I think. And there it is. She's a big battery. The thing about these batteries is they always look brand new because they're inside the vehicle and under the seat. So even though it looks brand new, that doesn't mean it is, right? The nice thing about this battery is it comes with these handles. That's going to help a lot with trying to get the battery back in, because as you pick up on either this handle or this handle, the battery is naturally going to want to fall. So fishing it into that area with this handle is actually really nice. Now remember, your positive terminal faces the front of the vehicle and the negative terminal faces the rear. Now what I like to do is take this seat belt and pull it down and kind of wrap it around the headrest to give me just a little more room to get into that area. And if you're strong enough, you can do it with one arm and just pick it up and carefully position it underneath the seat. You may need to maneuver the battery tray around a little bit, but once it gets in there, it kind of just wants to fall into its place. Now we have the new battery in there. You want to fish that cable up on top of the battery. It's probably hard for you to see, but you want to fish this cable up onto the battery terminal. You don't want to slide it all the way over here toward the passenger side so that you can fit this divider back where it's supposed to go. And there it is. This is what keeps the battery from sliding left to right. So now we're going to put our negative battery terminal back on the battery, being sure that everything is in the right position and upright. We're going to take our 10 millimeter and go ahead and tighten up that battery cable. On the negative terminal, you don't have to be so worried about touching it to metal because it's not going to arc or anything crazy like that on the negative side. It will only do that on the positive side. So we're going to return the seat to its original position. And we're going to come under here. Again, very carefully tightening this terminal. Once we've done that, grab your bolts here, move the seat back forward again. And the next step is to put this plastic piece back in. When you do this, you're going to want to lift up this cable here and make sure this plastic panel goes underneath it. Can be a pain to figure out how it goes back in there, but if you work at it, it will go in. You may have to move the seat back and forth a few times, but I like to do is come in here and kind of see what it looks like as I'm doing this. So you'll notice that if I reach back here, I can kind of fish it down into its original position. Now that I've done that, I'm ready to reinstall the negative terminal cover. I don't know about your guys's, but mine kind of just sits in here. It doesn't clip in anymore. I'm sure it did at one point, but it doesn't have any kind of clips on it anymore. And now we get our metal bracket. When we fish this in, it kind of just lays underneath the front side and lays down, and then you reinstall your 8 millimeter bolts. Once again, you want to make sure you're not pinching any wires, so this stuff needs to be above this bracket, and this metal plate here needs to go underneath. And at this time, you're going to want to go ahead and refish this grommet into its place. And at this point, we're ready to reinstall our 8 millimeter bolts. Now, in my instance, I have to be careful how I tighten this because this cable is running out the side here. So I'll be aware of that and try not to pinch it. You reinsert the two 8 millimeter bolts here. Start them by hand. Make sure they thread in nice and easy. Come back through with our impact gun. And that's it. Now, one thing you'll want to know is as you move it back and forth, the seat, you don't want it to be binding up on things. So if you didn't get it just right, you'll know because the seat won't want to move back and forth the way it's supposed to. This one moves nice and free, and also that cable underneath there is not getting pinched or hung up on anything. And once you're there, that's pretty much the end of this process. Go ahead and try to start the vehicle. Make sure you have power, make sure everything comes to life. Bam, just like that. This battery's done. This job is done. And if you like content like this, please consider subscribing. We try to upload as many videos as possible. In the future, I'll teach you guys how to work on your cars. And until next time, see you later.